What made it so that humans were able to stop focusing on just survival and start branching out? A little thing called agriculture. No longer being hunter and gatherers, humanity was able to focus on crops and livestock production to keep them fed year-round, which opened us up to expansion in other areas: art, culture, math, the sciences. Livestock domestication for food began around 9500 BC with pigs and sheep, but cattle, camels, goats, llamas, chickens, and the rest joined in the mix the following few thousand years. Raising livestock can be difficult, not just for maintaining the animal's health and viability, but also from the numerous predators that just see farms as open buffets. Farmers employ many methods to keep their animals safe, such as utilizing livestock guardian dogs, traps, and erecting fences, barns, and coops. But some predators aren't fazed by such methods. Some have been able to stand the tests of time and continue their onslaught, such as one terrifying beast that has haunted the Americas for years now, El Chupacabra. Hello everyone, and welcome to Wicked Encounters, where we explore just what goes bump in the night. I'm your host Allie, and today we're covering the Chupacabra. The name El Chupacabra is derived from the Spanish words chupar, to suck, and cabra, goat. Its name is attributed to Puerto Rican comedian Silverio Perez, who came up with the name in 1995 while discussing the attacks from the creature as a San Juan radio DJ. This legendary creature has become a prominent figure in the folklore of Puerto Rico, Mexico, and beyond, with reported sightings also in the United States and Canada. There are a few different versions of the Chupacabra, one being a reptilian version that is sometimes labeled as the true Chupacabra, and another one that is more canid-like, which are also known as blue dogs. The reptilian version is described as having leathery or scaly greenish-gray skin and sharp spines or quills along its back. They are approximately 3 to 4 feet tall and stand and hop similar to a kangaroo, with some of those mad hops going as far as 20 feet. It possesses a dog or panther-like nose and facial structure, with a forked tongue and large fangs. Blue dogs are viewed as a type of wild dog that is hairless, with a pronounced spinal ridge, eye sockets, fangs, and claws. Both versions are described as draining all of an animal's blood and the occasional organ, through 3 holes that make the shape of a downwards pointing triangle. In 1975, in the small town of Moca, Puerto Rico, a series of livestock killings occurred. Each animal killed was reported to have had its body bled dry through a series of small circular incisions, which was attributed to El Vampiro de Moca, the vampire of Moca. Initially, these attacks were viewed as killings done by a satanic cult in the area. Gotta love the satanic panic, where everything was blamed on Satan. But in Puerto Rico, in March of 1995, 8 sheep were discovered completely drained of blood, with 3 small puncture wounds on their chests. Odd, but investigators blamed the killings on a fox, but others noticed the odd similarities to the 1975 attack. The deaths of the animals kept occurring, and even carried into the American Southwest with increasing regularity, with no real explanation. Just similarities where the animals were drained of their blood and the 3 small incisions. Then, in Canovanas, 30 citizens claimed to have seen a creature swooping down from the sky and leaping over treetops, claiming it to be the Chupacabra. One eyewitness, Madeline Tolentino, came forward to describe what she had seen, giving a description of the reptilian version of the creature, with large oval red eyes, monkey-like with no tail, gray skin, a long snake-like tongue, fangs, long spinal quills, and a stench that was sulfur-like. At some of the deaths, there were 3-toed tracks that zoologists couldn't identify, making the likelihood of a Chupacabra being the culprit all the more valid to the locals. That year, the town of Canovanas had as many as 150 farm animals and pets be killed in such strange ways, and the entirety of Puerto Rico attributed more than 1,000 mysterious animal deaths to the Chupacabra, making 1995 a very busy year for the creature, to where it seemed there was an infestation. In the following year, the United States had its first case of killings that were blamed on the Chupacabra, where 40 animals were slain northwest of Miami, and then again in Texas, where a pet goat was found dead in the exact same way as the 1995 attack, 3 puncture wounds and drained of blood. More and more witnesses came forward as the attacks became all the more frequent, with the characteristic description of the Chupacabra's row of spikes running down its spine, large eyes, and kangaroo-like stance with three-toed feet. 1996 was also when Mexico seemed to constantly feel the bite of the Chupacabra, with numerous animals falling victim in May to a three-toed creature, sometimes described as having a tube-like proboscis coming from its mouth that it used to suck its victim's blood. Even worse was when it was beginning to escalate, with 2 humans allegedly having been attacked, as well as the dozens of animals. Each of these attacks were blamed on the reptilian version of the Chupacabra. The blue dogs, it seemed, cropped up in the 2000s. In 2007, Dr. Phyllis Canyon, a doctor of naturopathic medicine and rancher in Cuero County, discovered that something was eating her chickens. An unfortunately common occurrence, as chickens in Texas fall prey quite often to coyotes and wild dogs, or your neighbor's dogs if you're like my grandmother and have shit neighbors. What was odd about Dr. Canyon's situation was that of the 28 chickens that died, all of them had their throats cut, and it seemed that whatever killed them was specifically draining them of their blood. Later on, Dr. Canyon was informed of a carcass that was found near the side of the road that was believed to be her chicken killer. She went to look at the animal, where she found a roughly 40-pound canine with steel blue eyes, a snout with a bizarrely large overbite, and strange skin closer to an elephant's in nature than a canine. From how the animal killed her chickens, she believed that could be a chupacabra, and brought the remains to a taxidermist that she keeps on display in the same haunched position she supposedly saw it walking in while alive, and dubbed it the Texas Blue Dog, giving this variant of chupacabra its name. The creature has been subjected to numerous DNA tests, which have concluded that it is a hybrid of a coyote and a Mexican wolf, but Dr. Canyon believed those to be false based on the characteristics of the creature. She says that it cannot be a simple coy wolf, as it has 3 toes on its front legs, while wolves and coyotes both have 4, along with only having 4 teats, whereas most canines have between 8 and 10. Canyon's blue dog also has 2 strange pouches on both sides of its rear legs that were not infected glands, but solid red meat, she advised, after cutting into one for a DNA test. Dr. Canyon is not the only one to have experienced the blue dogs, even though she coined their name. Harvey and Derek Hayek shared their story of seeing strange beasts on their ranch, one of which had been killed by a car that they had sent to a local university that was unable to identify it. The animals had the same blue-gray, hairless bodies with long muzzles and hunched back as Dr. Canyon's, and the family believed that they lived in a remote part of their ranch in a desolate gulch, perfect for a lair for the creatures. The Hayek family believed that the canines may be a result from chemical emissions from a local coal-fueled power station that may have caused an unknown mutation for the local canine population. But we'll never know for sure. Businesses never admit to any faults because they never damage their environment in any way whatsoever, and you're a commie if you think otherwise. I don't make the rules, I just make you aware of them. Now, I know I said earlier that there are 2 versions of El Chupacabra, but in typical New Orleans fashion, they too have a version that is described as an elaborate cross between the canid and reptilian versions, known as the Grunch Road Monsters. The Grunch are a unique sort in how they are believed to have come about. One tale involves a story of a clan of inbred albino dwarf people who lived in the woods eating goats and humans that wandered too close. They joined together in this uncomfortably close Alabaman family due to the belief that those who were perceived as not normal were thought to be creations of the devil, a belief that seems to carry on to this day in some parts of the world, more specifically America. Through their life of seclusion and desire to still get it on, they began inbreeding to the point of barely looking human, and soon, after selling their souls, they became the Grunches, in return from protection from the devil himself as their guardian. It is said if you see a stray, injured goat on the side of the road, don't get out of your car, as the Grunches will descend on you to drain you of your blood and devour your body. The second supposed origin of the Grunches involves Marie Laveau. It is said that Marie Laveau castrated the devil baby when he was born, to stop him from producing more of his evil kind. Supposedly, from his bloody bits, a male and female Grunch fell upon the floor and proceeded to attack the great voodoo queen with their vicious bites. Near death, Madame Laveau fainted, and when she awoke, both the devil baby and its now walking Grunches, were gone as well. Both stories are dramatic, as are most things from New Orleans. Fun tales to share involving magic, the devil, and outcasts. But there is another Chupacabra I'd like to share with you. This one is from my friends in the Great North, the Canadian Chupacabra. The Canadian Chupacabra is a fairly new species, popping up in the 2010s where residents of a small community in British Columbia noticed that their pets and farm animals began to get killed off. Its main victims were cats and dogs, making the community keep their animals and children safe, as it seemed to show no fear coming up close to houses. A local vet believed the creature to be a wolf dog due to this lack of fear, and it had ended up killing 3 dogs, a dozen cats, 2 sheep, and numerous deer before it seemed to just vanish. The attacks were so bad and so vicious that the municipality set up a hotline for any reports on the animal. They had also bought a tranquilizer gun and enlisted a professional trapper to find the creature. A second incident involving the beast came from YouTube on December 20th, 2011, where a video was posted involving a person having gone camping and hearing strange noises. He believed he saw an unusual fox creature, but claimed that once looking at other photos of foxes once home, they seemed too different, and it left him questioning what it was exactly that he saw that night. Unfortunately, the video was taken down due to multiple third-party notifications of copyright infringement, so this may be one of the shakier bits of evidence towards a Canadian Chupacabra existing. Though there is a third incident that involved 2 nurses in the town of Kitchenume-Cousib.
Kitchenume-Comos.
A town in northern Ontario, Canada. While walking their dog, they found a strange creature on the lakeshore, face down in the water. Pulling the creature out, the animal had a long, hairy body with a bald head, feet, and face. They took a photo of it and posted it online, where speculations on what it could be went from an otter to boar or weasel, and some suggesting that it was a chupacabra or a Montauk monster. Either way, it was quite a sight to see. Now, what could these strange sightings be if not a chupacabra? Well, the most popular belief is that they are simply coyotes, foxes, dogs, or wolves suffering from severe cases of mange. And it is true that many of the creatures that have been captured are verified as such. Coyotes and dogs have been known to kill for funsies, especially when it comes to chickens. But when they are in a weakened state from mange, it's even more common for them to attack and then not consume their catch, because they're inexperienced, were injured during the chase, or they didn't actually catch the animal and gave up, only for their prey to die later on. But what about the reptilian version of El Chupacabra? Well, one of the earliest sightings from Madeline Tolentino, who described the creature in such detail first, had admitted to having recently seen a movie, a sci-fi horror movie, called Species, where the alien creature Syl is almost identical to the description she provided for the Chupacabra. From there, it isn't hard to picture that others, joining in on the Chupacabra craze, claim to have seen something similar. But what do you think? Do you believe in the Chupacabra, or do you think it might just have been hype and sickly canines suffering from mange? Have you ever seen a Chupacabra? What about the Grunches? Was Madame Laveau involved in their creation, or are they just a scary story to tell tourists? Let me know in the comments. I read them all for future video ideas, and to see how many other wonderful people enjoy the supernatural side of life like myself. If you want to see what I release in the future, consider subscribing, liking this video, clicking the bell, and sharing it with others who might like spooky stuff, If you'd like to support me in other ways, consider checking out my Patreon, or maybe joining my Discord, where we can chat about potential topics to be covered. Many of my videos are thanks to suggestions given to me, so feel free to let me know what you'd like to see covered next. With that, I'm Allie, this is Wicked Encounters, and I'll see you next time. Bye!